And intro. Going now. Yo, so I just want to point out this is therapy for us all. Like week in, week out. We look forward to it. Listen,
Fellas, it's gonna be one of them nights.
It's gonna be, I'm telling you. Another Tuesday night at 9, man. Prototype Dad in the building. What's going on, fellas? We got an interesting show tonight, man. And I put together some stuff, man, and I hope I can get some good opinions, some good feedback, and we could give something to the people, man. A lot's happened this week. So to go over the news for the week, man, we had a whole eclipse. What are y'all thinking about this eclipse, man? You know what here's my initial thought. I didn't see anything weird happening with this one, like as far as a mass suicide. Remember when we had the comet and all those people
drunk
the Kool-Aid
bot comet,
right, like that was big, right? And that was over a comet that was coming, like they thought the comet was coming to get them. So like, have y'all heard anything weird with this eclipse? Lee, for you up first, what's your thoughts on the eclipse?
I don't really have any thoughts on the eclipse. It wasn't something that I was really interested in, so I didn't care. But I have been hearing some reports of people saying that their eyes were hurting or something after watching it. But they tell you not to stare into it. So people put them glasses on and they stare into it anyway. It's like, you know what I mean? I wasn't really into it, but yeah, that's pretty much all I heard. I mean, people have said, although they were talking about it on the radio a lot today, they're talking about it just, how the animals were reacting to it. Like it's like they felt like it was happening before it was happening or while it was happening. And it's supposed to say something about birds starting to fly backwards or, just kind of losing their way or whatever. And just, a lot about how things in nature was reacting to it while it was happening. But yeah, that's pretty much all I heard about
birds flying backwards.
Yeah, I don't know if that was an exaggeration, but they definitely said that on the radio. It's like oh, because somebody had said they went up to Erie, and that was like one of the places where you could see like the full eclipse, where you know what I mean. They had the best coverage and everything. So,
yo, I know somebody that left Georgia and went all the way to Texas just to see the eclipse. Like drove. Like that's crazy to me. Like, come on now. What's up, Mo? What you got?
So I mean, I never heard of like anything paranormal happening because of it. Because it's I don't want to say it's scheduled, but it's scheduled. Like it happens, a set amount of time or whatever. But as far as like I said, paranormal, I wasn't expecting anything, but just the simple fact that at this point, man, everything's like people are trying to make everything go viral. Like the last time I remember it happened, I want to say it was like 95. And the only reason I remember this is because the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Carolina Panthers were brand new teams. I was in 6th grade. I just went to Dixon Elementary and we were looking up into the sky and all that. And I remember thinking, I was like, ain't this like, I don't know, like we didn't even have the internet yet, but I was like, ain't this supposed to burn our retina if we look directly at it? Like I remember having that conversation, but I would imagine there's probably something that happened in between, but that's the last one that was significant to me. But yeah, I mean,
this time.
Yeah, so none of it surprised me.
What's up, Smooth? How you feeling about this week's news with the eclipse?
What's up, man? I didn't experience anything weird yesterday, but today I got to work. One of them alphabet boys came to me and said that it made him extremely horny.
Oh, wow.
Hey, dog. He gave that information to me. You know what I'm saying?
You know you got that hip problem, boy.
Hit the run, player.
No Diddy.
I see you walking around limping, Mr. Charles, sir.
I'll fix that for you. I knocked that thing back and
Did
play,
the Eclipse do the same for you as it did for me? Oh man, that's hilarious. No, I know there's some other news that we can talk about. Everybody's basically talking about that at this point. What's the last book you went to, Leifer? I'm still on that Elevate one. You know what I'm saying? That Elevate and Dominate. I'm on chapter 20 at this point. So I'm still trying to power through that one. What you reading right now, Leifer?
Uh, uh, I'm actually reading a lot of books about succeeding through your introvertness. I think I'm reading it's called I can't remember exactly what it's called, man. It's called yeah, I don't know, something like finding great success as an introvert or something like that. And it's just like, navigating different spaces and being in being able to work your way up in corporate America and things like that. And have conversations in these big spaces as an introvert. So those are a few of the books that I'm reading in that sphere.
No, that's dope. I'm not an introvert, but that's something to look into because you can learn stuff from like how to be more. You know what I mean? It's kind of like if you're not, I don't know if y'all ever heard of, I'm way off cue right now. If y'all ever heard of like the three different body types, like an endomorph, ectomorph, and a mesomorph. So there's three different body types, right? And if you're trying to become, like if you're trying to become like if a skinny guy is an endomorph or an ectomorph, and if he's trying to bulk up, he's supposed to act like an endomorph, which is the square body. And then the mesomorph is in the middle. I might be screwing these up, but the mesomorph is like the more athletic body. He really doesn't have to do nothing. Everything's kind of just gifted to him. But an endomorph have to act like an ectomorph and vice versa to achieve their goals to both if they want to both get to the middle body. So you got to do the extreme, right? So me, who's extroverted, I could probably learn from an introverted book on how to be a better whatever. You know what I mean? Am I making sense or not? What you got,
it's all
Mo?
about perspective. It's all about perspective. Now as far as book related, so I don't know. I just had so much going on. I haven't even had time to finish Coach Prime's book, but I did buy a book. I pre-ordered it, and it's actually by John Hope Bryant, if y'all even know who that is. But the book's called Financial Literacy for All. So I'm really looking forward to it. That's the dude you probably seen him on your feed, black dude, be screaming at you, talk about you ain't never gonna get rich on Instagram and all that. Like it's that dude. But
what's his name?
John Hope Bryant.
John Hope Bryant.
Yeah,
and
look him up, man. He's a pretty solid dude.
But no, I ain't never seen him.
Yeah, so
he don't look like he should be on Instagram.
Exactly, and that's the thing, right? And that's why it's so dope. Like that's him adapting to what I always talk about, meeting the people where they are. Because like he was like, I want to say he was like a Harvard graduate, and
so he's coming to Instagram to tell you shouldn't be there.
Essentially, or you should be doing business on it. Like, don't waste your time just scrolling. Like, be efficient with what you're doing. But the book's called Financial Literacy for All. Like I said, I pre-ordered it. I think it comes out on the 15th, so it'll probably ship out about then. And once we get there, once I get it, I can kind of help review it, and we'll see if there's any nuggets or some gems in there.
What you got, Smooth? What books you into right now?
I just started reading this book, man, How to Think and Grow Rich, man. So I need to figure that out because I live like
Napoleon Hill.
I'm not rich at all. I blow too much money, man.
It starts with mindset. Spoiler alert. That's what he's talking about. He said you get rich here first before you get rich in your pocket.
So
no, I'm rich here. I've been rich here way too long. I got to get rich in the pocket.
Well, time to manifest it. Yeah, I don't say so. Taking what's here and executing that into financial. That's the secret, if you will. That's the secret sauce in that book.
So I just wasted $17. You done told me the whole thing.
Read it for yourself.
No, you actually have to. Yeah, no, you're going to have to actually change the mindset. You know, maybe you're not as rich as you think mentally yet. So yeah, just but that's just context around as you're reading it. So
I got you.
No, it's a good one.
So it's been an interesting week in hip hop right now. Like we got rap beefs going on that we thought would never, would happen. You know, J. Cole, Drake, Kendrick. You know what I'm saying? Like I never thought that was going to happen. Like as much as we wanted it, and we've always wanted to collab. But then the guy turned around and apologized for it. Like I don't understand what kind of era we're in where we're apologizing for rap beefs. Like it's not like we're not having fun no more. You know what I'm saying? Like I think it's overdue for the battle. You know what I mean? But because hip hop's been kind of boring. What you got, Leifer?
I don't know. My take is probably a little unpopular. I don't mind him rolling it back, and that's because when you have all these different things going on, and I think the little rap beefs and stuff that's happened on wax. You know what I mean? It's good for the genre. It's good for hip hop. But at the same time, man, there's always these you got your entourage and these people in the background who end up getting involved with stuff. Somebody gonna say the wrong thing to somebody, and then some unnecessary bull crap might happen as a response to it. That right now the space that he's in mentally, spiritually, he just don't want that on his conscience. So even though he was in that space at the moment, he's trying to go hard. He was like, whatever you want it, come and get it. As he sat back and reflected on it, he was like, man, this is going against the whole journey I'm going right now. Like this whole perspective, my whole mindset right now, it's going against all of that. And it wasn't sitting right with him. So, salute to him being able to just say, you know what, that ain't for me. You know what I mean? That ain't for me. I got hyped. I got caught up into the hype. You know what I mean? And I let some stuff go, but he was able to reel it back. So I don't feel bad about that. I mean, they gonna always take little jabs at each other in their music anyway. You know what I mean? But they ain't gotta have no whole dedicated beef to it. I mean, they're not like battle beef type rappers. You know what I mean? Those are the conscious dudes. So we got Mustafa and Simba over here. You know what I mean? Having battle raps. It's like, come on, man, put your koofies down.
Would you say, to add to this, would you say that the Jay-Z and Nas battle, did that have a real impact on the culture? Or was it something that just got kind of glossed over?
I don't think it got glossed over. They're still talking about that to this day. You know what I mean? Like they're still like, and there's like real people out here who think Jay won, and there's people who are like, Nas ate him up. I mean, I don't know how you get better than that Ether as as a battle rap song. You know what I mean? Like just as a diss record. I don't know how you get better than that. Like that, if it was a lesser person, you know what I mean, could literally kill somebody's career. Like that could have literally like took somebody out. And we've seen that before with less of a diss. You know what I mean? Less content. Like 50 Cent was ending people's careers. You know what I mean? They couldn't make it back, but that Ether could have literally, with somebody lesser than Jay-Z, could have ended their career completely. But I think it had a huge effect on the culture. Like I said, I just heard a conversation on a podcast not too long ago, this week or last week, and they were bringing up that one. So yeah.
What you got, Mo?
Old me, it was making me homesick. I was like, let's get to it. But at the same time, man, I understood where J. Cole was coming from, man. There was some maturity in that. And, like I always talk about the changing and the evolution of a man. And, because he's like, I could do this. Like, I could do this with the best of them. But he's like, wait a minute. No, this is the whole Huckleberry. He done baited me into something. Like, this is to sell his record. This is to get clout. So I remember when I don't even know dude's name, DJ Academics, I think. is his name. Yo, he called it a rap civil war, and I was like, I don't like it. Like I don't know. It just gave me kind of West Coast, East Coast type. I was like, I don't want this to go too far. Like let's not put too much sauce on it. Like because I was all for just the sport of it, but when I start seeing like kind of the gasoline being poured on, I was like, ooh, this could get bad. And with that being said, folks always, as an artist and as an entertainer, you always got to go to the West Coast, and that's the last thing you want is us to lose somebody else out there. So I was like, okay, well, maybe we should just, let this one die down because at the end of the day, like we're talking about those two, like Drake will just stay in Canada and just let them fight it out and keep making money, and he could just go back to doing what he was doing. He could go back to acting or something, or just. And so I'm like, yo, don't get caught up in nothing that you can't get out of. So, the homesickness of me was like, yeah, let's get to it. But then I also understood the J. Cole maturation, and he's like, yeah, I gave him a jab or two, but nah, this ain't for me. So I respected it. Like I'm not ready to cancel him, like how some people are. They're ready to cancel him because like kick him out of hip hop because he apologized. But that's the evolution of a man. He's not 19, 20 years old no more. So.
Like, get out of here. You done blew it. Get out of here.
Yeah, and they was done with him. I was like, wow. They was like look, they excommunicated him from hip hop. I was like,
you apologize? You apologize? That's like helping somebody up in football. Why you help him up? Yeah, like my bad. I ain't mean to hit you that hard, bro.
Like we ain't gangbanging. Like why? Crazy.
Where you at, Smooth?
I think. Let me do this. When he did it, when he came with the diss, the response whatever, I like, okay, some good music, some great music gonna come out of this, right? I heard he apologized. I seeked to apologize. You listen to it. Honestly, man, being selfish, I kind of was upset, but then I kind of got it. You know what I mean? Like, it's like Mo said, man, this dude done baited me in. You know what I'm saying? I think J. Cole he bigger than that, man. You know what I'm saying? And let me ask you, am I the only one who don't listen to Kendrick, man?
I listen to Kendrick heavy. But
yeah,
I mean,
like it's few and far between. Yeah, it's few and far between, but I do listen to it when it comes out.
Kendrick drops the ball so many times, like as a fan, you know what I'm saying? From Section 80 and what he used to do. He's just so like not that anymore. And we be fiending for, well, I do as a fan. I'm fiending for him to come back out hard. There's a couple artists that like drop the ball for me, like him, Big Crit, like Big Crit got my attention with the Mount Olympus, and then ain't never come that hard again.
But dog, Mount Olympus.
Pause. No Diddy.
Mount Olympus sucked to me, man.
Mount Olympus was hard.
He was trying too hard, dog.
Mount Olympus
for me, he was trying to be lyrical instead of just being lyrical.
Mount Olympus was hard, dog. Like
there's no way. When Crit dropped that Digital Roses Don't Die, he lost me. I'm like, dog, you got to come back with that old stuff, dog. Yeah. I don't know what the hell that was.
So, yeah, that's my take on the weekly news. But man, let's kind of get into today's topic, man. And this been festering for a while for me. So let me play the clip.
Yo, I'm not able to hear it.
Y'all need me to run it back from the beginning?
Yeah, I wasn't able to hear it at all. So
Oh, nobody
I
heard
was
it at
kinda-
all?
Yeah, I would just read subtitles.
Oh, snap. Oh. Y'all hear anything?
No, we don't have any sound.
Is it just playing in your headphones? We can't hear it.
It's playing in my headphones.
Yeah, we can't hear it though.
Yeah, we can't hear it.
Let me see if I can find the other one. That's but. That's my fault. I gotta test this stuff before we try to do this.
I mean, worst case scenario, you could just kind of, surmise it for us.
So he's basically saying that boys growing up weren't allowed to feel angry. They weren't allowed to show emotions. Every time they showed emotions, they was told, "Shut up, sit down." Don't do this, don't do that, right? And then they get in these relationships and they can't figure out how to communicate or be emotional or be open or expressive with the people they're in relationships with, like with their women or whatever. So women need to create an environment so the men can then be open enough to express what they need to or be vulnerable or whatever. Like, and you can tell by my tone where I'm standing with this, but
So be their safe place. That's what
yeah,
you're saying. They need
be
to
their
be
safe place
gotcha.
to be
Okay.
able to communicate. I'm gonna see if I could I could pull up the link. But so yeah, that's basically what he's saying, like that men don't have a place to feel safe. And because we're raised to shut up, stop crying, don't make any noise, don't show emotion, toughen up, man up. Like those are toxic things to say to a boy, to man up, right? So I guess here's the question, right? So do y'all feel we minimize our kids' emotions? Leifer, you're normally first on this one.
Are we talking about boys specifically, or are we talking about kids?
We're talking about boys
period?
specifically. I mean, you can go in the whole experience, but we can talk about boys specifically.
Well, you said kids, so I just wasn't. You laughed, and it sounded like we were talking about boys, but then you said the question had kids, and it wasn't boys or gender specific. So, I don't know if we do it intentionally. I think as a parent, sometimes when the kid is whining or crying or unable to verbally express what's going on or how they're feeling or what's wrong with them in that way, sometimes you're like, hey, stop all that crying, you'll hutch up, you know what I mean? And you might not intentionally be trying to stifle them emotionally or whatever, but I think it can be a byproduct of just trying to navigate new life as a parent. I think as you have more kids, that experience might change and you might evolve and you might see what worked, or kids just might be different. You know what I mean? What kind of worked on or didn't work on one kid might work on another kid. So I think those experiences can change based on the kid and the relationship that you have with a kid. I have seen, especially with some of the boys with who were raised by single mothers, who are being raised by single mothers. Their mother's like, oh, stop crying, no, stop toughen up, man up and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, and and I can't even lie. I've seen some men do that too to their kid, to their boys' sons, man up, stop being I probably can't say that, but now you probably get canceled, but stop acting like a female, stop crying, and you know what I mean, stuff like that. So I guess I've seen it on both sides, not much recently, But I have seen it before. So maybe some people are doing it intentionally, but and not knowing the harm, because maybe that was something that was, done to them, or something that was said to them when they were a kid, and they're just, reiterating that. But I do think a lot of times it can be inadvertent. You just, what I mean? You're just trying to navigate this space as a new parent, and, they're just crying and making noise, and you're just like, stop all that.
I think I figured it out. Hold on.
Here's another reason why men don't open up. When they were younger, it wasn't safe to express feeling. When he was 8, 7, 9, Here's another reason why men don't open up. When they were younger, it wasn't safe to express feeling. When he was 8, 7, 9, Here's another reason why men don't open up. When they were younger, it wasn't safe to express feeling. When he was 8, 7, 9, he was told when he was little, shut up, stop crying, suck it up, man up. How you gonna man up at 7? If he learned that at 6, 7, 8, 9, there was no safety to express emotion. It don't change just because he married you. He was never in an environment where it was okay to express emotion, healthy emotion. You're not supposed to be angry. Stop being angry. Okay, so what do I do with this feeling of frustration that I got inside? What am I supposed to do with that? If I can't express it, what do you do? If I'm not supposed to be afraid, ain't no such thing as a boogeyman. Shut your little butt up. Don't take your little tail in that room. Ain't nothing gonna bother you in that room. If I can't be afraid, now I can't be sad. Because if I got tears, now I'm a little girl. Now I'm getting verbally abused. All I'm saying is, ladies, create an environment. Create an environment. Alicia Keys sang this song, "Your secrets are safe with me."
Can y'all hear? Y'all hear me?
Yeah, man. That was deep. That was a good one. I'm glad you was able to actually get the audio to go. That was good.
Oh, did the whole thing play?
Yeah, it played through.
I didn't see it.
Eventually. Yeah, eventually it ended up playing through. But yeah.
Okay. So yeah. So what's your thoughts? I mean, what's your thoughts on it? Now that you've heard the audio.
So for me, man, I feel like I'm a little bit of a hybrid, right? Because I always talk about, man, I was raised by, a couple that was 2 generations older than me. So I was socialized in a very, very traditional way that wasn't up to speed with the current times. Like you just suffered in silence, especially as a young black man or whatever. Just keep your head down, keep working. You know what I mean? It'll work itself out. You just work your way through it and stuff like that, right? So I feel I'm a little bit of a hybrid because I feel that there's some stuff that, I wasn't able to fully work through as a child because of that socialization. But so now granted, my child's 15 years old. So the only practice and the only experience that I had was just recently. I had some kids with me just recently. And instead of being like the whole, how I was raised was, oh man, quit whining, like get out of here with that. I was like, well, let's actually figure it out. Let's actually critically think. Like, I don't have a problem with you expressing your discomfort or your dissatisfaction of things. But okay, how are we gonna fix it? Just not sitting in that sadness and like I always say, we talk about in the book. Okay, now that you have a bad moment, start moving. It's hard to hit a moving target. And that was one of the things that I used with the children the past week. And I'm like, okay, well, I get that made you sad. Okay, what caused that? Was it because you didn't listen to what I told you initially? Was it because whatever? And if that's the case, okay, start doing X, Y, Z opposite of that to get a better result. And okay, now that the bad things have happened, okay, let's not do the same mistake twice. And so I give them the opportunity in the space to actually verbalize it and to get it out, but I don't let them dwell in it. And not that that's what he was saying, but I'm like, okay, now that we got it out, how do we fix it going forward, and how do we move on outside of this hurt, trauma, whatever we want to call it? So I feel I'm a little bit of a hybrid. I'm not necessarily saying it was bad, the way I was socialized, because I survived, but at the same time, I feel that there's maybe a more efficient way and a healthier way to go about it. So that's why I feel I'm a little bit more of a hybrid when it comes to the expression of emotions. And that's for all children, like whether it be male or female. But obviously from the male perspective, I feel that the world's a little bit more harsher on us, to be quite honest. So I just try to prepare them for that.
Leifer, you got a different perspective now, or you got more to add to it, or
Certainly, and I think I might have seen part of the video before, but I think definitely as as fathers, it's a hard line to toe, when you're dealing with you know kids' emotions and making sure you're trying to create a space for their emotions. And what he's specifically talking about is, women creating a space for their sons or their kids' emotions in a healthy space for that. But um, even for me, I think part I agree with like part of Moses, or at least I think I agree with part of Moses, where it's like, express yourself. If you need to cry, get it out. But then, okay, let's figure out what's the plan. What's next steps. We're not just gonna sit here and cry all day. Like, that's not productive. It doesn't help anything. So what is the reason why you're crying? You know what I mean? Let's figure that out, and then let's figure out what we do next. Not just using tears to manipulate, or you're trying to cry to get your way. No, and of course that's easier when your kids are older and they can communicate. You got a 2-year-old like I do at the moment. He's not fully capable of communicating, but what I have tried to do, and I guess I'll find out if it's good or not. But what I've tried to do is I've tried to get him to, especially when he's in those moments when he's, angry or upset, or he's crying, or he's, he's feeling, he's feeling some kind of way. Like I try to get him to, I guess self-validate. I don't know if that's a thing or not, but I try to get him to say he's okay. Like, I always say, you're okay, buddy. You're okay. Because I don't want him to, a lot of times when a parent, when the kid starts crying or something, or they fall or something, and the parent goes, are you okay? Then that, kind of sparks that reaction to make them start crying, or, to get overworked up. So I always just say, no, you're okay. You're okay, buddy. You're okay. So now, if he falls, or if he hurts himself, or if he's sad or something, it'll be like, I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm okay. And then, start trying to work his way through the process to get better. So I don't know if that's, something that actually is going to work in the long run. But right now it's like, try to, soothe yourself, calm yourself down, get to a space where you're good. And then, then I try to, work you through it. So yeah, I think, we can create healthier spaces for our kids to be able to express emotion. It's definitely easier said than done, especially if you haven't seen it in practice, and it wasn't done to you or for you. But there's definitely healthier ways to create space for those emotions, because you don't want them going out in the world being somebody who can't control their emotions in spaces where they need to control their emotions.
what you got, Smooth?
Hey man, I think I was that dude he was talking about, right? Because that's how my dad raised me. My dad 88, so he come from that era when men were just men. You know what I'm saying? Raised in a house with my mom and 3 older sisters. My dad knew I was getting baby, so it's like when he came home from work, he had to undo, whatever got done that day. You know what I mean? He never really allowed me to express myself like this, say I'm hurt on my feelings, whatever, you know what I'm saying? And the flip side of that, I was raising my kids the same way. Now, the older they got, I pulled away from that, because one thing I did want was my kids to be able to go to another household and confide in somebody, and then feel like they can talk to them more than they can talk to me. And I'm the one that's providing for you. I'm the one that's going to die for you. You know what I'm saying? So now, I got a better relationship with my kids now, because we can sit back and talk. I remember telling my son, stop being a punk, man. What you crying for all the time? You know what I'm saying? But me losing loved ones and knowing that sometimes I can't control my emotions, man, I sit down and talk to my son like, man, it's okay to cry, but you can't cry because you messed up in school and I said you can't play your game. There ain't no reason to cry. You know what I'm saying? But if you feeling hurt and emotion, you know what I'm saying? Like, just sometimes, he a teenager. Sometimes he just be out of it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm cool with you crying about stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? We'll talk about your emotions and your feelings, but just crying to get your way, like my daughter does it all the time. if I get on her, if I'm just fussing at her, she want to start crying, thinking that's gonna stop me from fussing. No, you're gonna hear what I'm saying. That crying ain't gonna deter me from just talking to you. Now I may calm down the way I'm saying it, but you know, you have to understand that I'm in my emotions too. You messed up, I'm angry, you know. But yeah, I guess.
So my perspective is a little different, right? I'm coaching T-ball this year, right? And it's like a mix between coach pitch and kid pitch. And I'm pitching. I don't have the best arm. I hit a lot of kids. You understand what I'm saying? So with that said, when you hit the kids, they start crying and they're like shutting down, right? But in that, if they don't continue through, like you don't just get a base because I hit you with the ball. Like you gotta keep playing. So if you don't keep playing, then we're out. You get out, it affects the whole team. We might lose because we might need you on this one. Because we still gotta you can still get opportunity to hit off the tee if you can't hit a coach pitch. Right. So my whole thing is I hate it that kids are like stopping and shutting down because they're crying. And my whole goal was to be like, you got to be able to keep moving through the tears. I understand this might hurt. I understand this sucks, but you got to keep moving. You know what I'm saying? And to be stuck, I think you mentioned that earlier, Mo, but to be stuck or to let the situation freeze you and give you an excuse to, oh, I'm hurt. I don't want to go no more. I'm not going anymore. And my whole goal was to get this out of them. You know what I mean? Like, hey, you got to keep playing. The rest of the team needs you. Like, this has to, like, understand you're hurt. That pitch might have hurt you. Or that ball came and screaming at you. Like, you know, like some of these kids hit real hard. So they get hit with the ball and they're like, yo, but they're still running the bases while you're over here like, my leg hurts. We need you to be tough enough to get through that. I don't care if you're crying, if you can keep playing through. You understand what I'm saying? And in life, I think that's a vital skill because sometimes things are going to suck. And if you just quit because something sucks, then you'll never get to nothing. You know what I'm saying? And that's my perspective. Some people are just lucky enough to have it all. You know what I'm saying? Had the smarts and never have to really go through anything that's going to test you like that. But from how I am, you have to be able to cry and keep moving. So just not teaching him to like, how do you teach that, right? And I like what you guys mentioned. You know what I mean? Like, let's talk about these, you know, what made you cry and these kind of things. And those are all well and good. And I think in certain circumstances, you can apply that. But in a sports atmosphere, we don't have time to understand why you're crying. We all seen it. You got hit with a ball. Keep going, keep going, keep going. You know what I mean? Like, this needs to be resolved quickly. And we can't sit over here with you and kind of go over it. Let's get through the issue and then we can come back to it and talk about it later. You understand what I'm saying?
I mean, I get it. You know, we was whole raised up in that whole "are you hurt or are you injured" culture. So I get it. But one of the things that, you know, and I think we're going to like, because I think we kind of got off of what he was talking about in the video about our mate actually creating that space or whatever. But it was stemming from what we're talking about.
Oh, that was next.
As a child.
That was next. Yeah.
So
but I'm just saying, I wanted to attack the youth issue.
Yeah, but this is them learning that. So, and that's okay. I mean, you might lose some games in the process, but we've always said that sports can, you know, kind of be a parallel teaching lesson for life. So this is what, you know, yeah, you might lose some games in the process, but they're going to gain that skill and they're going to strengthen that muscle of being able to persevere through adversity. So yeah, you might lose the game, but this is actually a valuable skill that these kids are learning. So it's okay.
But even if that, like, to prevent losing the game, because I think that the goal is to get over it and win the game. You win the game, then you're like, hey, that don't suck so bad because I won the game. Like, the winning cures all thing. You know what I'm saying? Like,
but it doesn't. But it doesn't though.
But that's what builds the perseverance though. To get
positive
hurt and then
reinforcement?
quit. Yeah, but to get hurt and then y'all lose the game because I got hurt. I don't think that builds the character. You know what I'm saying? So y'all. Okay, so here's another thing that kind of ticks me off about the video. it's saying that that kind of treatment really affects your adulthood. And I'm like, at what point do you got to stop blaming how you were raised when you're an adult? Like, that's no longer credible to me now. I'm like 25 for real. You should, like, come on. Like, you still complaining about how you was raised? You should be making way better decisions based off of what's going on now. I know a lot of people get stuck. I know people get stuck, but we gotta alleviate the excuse, because once you move that excuse, right? Like, you know how you get in an argument, and you're like, you can't use this, and then they're like, well, I guess I'm keep it going then, right? You got to be able to remove that one thing, or you just gonna stay stuck. What you got, Mo?
So I hear what you're saying. Like, trust me, and I'm even gonna give you an example of this, but that, and I hate to even use the word trauma, but whatever that thing is as your childhood, until you get over it, like, you're stuck there. So it's easy. Like, just because you got older doesn't mean you matured. So you have to keep that in mind, and I do. So, like, for example, in this scenario, that what happened with me, like, so I still don't know what happened. I guess I just got old, man. My leg got to the point it locked up. I couldn't move it, couldn't do anything, right? And so, but we had a trip scheduled to Charlotte. And being a man, right? Like, literally my wife was like, oh, we didn't wasted all this money. I'm like, it's just money. Like, so you want me to sit in the car for 5 hours and knowing that my leg is hurt? And she was like, yeah. That's when I was like, that's where I had the, are you hurt or are you injured? Like, and by the time, we got there, I took the good drugs and all that. And, by the time we got out there, man, I'm in Charlotte in the VIP standing on couches. So, I mean, I get it, but like, it hurt. It still hurt at the time, but I just made something shake, because I understood that I'm being measured with my words here. But,
you wanted to win the game. This is going to win the game. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, because I was like, I don't want this to keep lingering over something that was stupid. So, but you have to understand the scenario, because if I was injured, like, to the point where I was like, man, I'm gonna do more damage, I should have stood on it and be like, man, I'm not going. But there's just certain, you have to be mature enough, and you have to be able to have enough emotional intelligence to be like, man, I'm standing on it. No. Or whatever decision you make, can you live with the consequences? And I was like, it's just not that deep for me, because I wasn't going to hurt anything further, but it was going to have lasting ramifications, if you will. Like, and I was like, yo, this ain't even like a lot of money. Like, I blow more than that all the time. But I was like, why is this? But I was like, you know what? Never mind. The show must go on. So, and I think that's a huge skill to be able to have as a man, because not only are we socialized like that, that's our reality. Like, our reality is that at the end of the day, man, ain't nobody really coming to save us. Don't nobody really care a lot about our quote unquote feelings until, it benefits them. And that's the reality of it.
What you got, Smooth?
Hey, man, I agree with Mo, man, on a lot of stuff he said. My thing is this. You said something that I totally disagree with, though. You saying the way you was raised, things that happen when you're young, it shouldn't affect you as an adult. Man, I see it all the time, man. Like, man, those, like, things they do as kids, as far as how they react towards things, and they become like part of their characteristics, man, their behavior, man. I got a nephew now, man, that, I mean, he's 47. Man, it's just things that happened when he was young, man. He hasn't had the ability to shake it. You know what I'm saying? And how can I say this, man? Come back to me. Because I want to touch on that topic, but I want to put the right words in that, man.
What you got, Lee?
So what I'll say is, unaddressed childhood trauma becomes unaddressed adult trauma. And it, I hear you on one end, and by the time you're an adult, you should be okay. You should be able to deal. And a lot of adults, they mask it. You know what I mean? You pretend well. You know, you learn how to deal with certain things. You know what I mean? And you learn how to navigate through certain things, and you never actually deal with it, and it manifests itself in different ways that you don't really know. You know what I mean? And you don't necessarily know what you don't know. You know, especially in the Black community, like therapy is not something that, you know, or counseling is not something that was like, and maybe still not like high up on the priority list. You know what I mean? Especially if you got to pay for it. You know, it's not high up on the priority list. So, you know, you go through and you learn how to just avoid, navigate, you know, work your way around and work your way through certain things that you don't necessarily ever address. And it can become an issue in a lot of different in relationships. It can become an issue in parenting. You know what I mean? Like we were just talking about before. I think Smooth said it. You know, when he was growing up, you know, he was home with the, you know, with the women all the time. When his dad came home, his dad had to try to reverse all of that you know, female energy that he was around all day when he got home, and, you know, put him in a more masculine space, and, you know, that happening over the course of years, he could transfer that to his kids, where he's like, you know what I mean? Oh, no, hey, stop all that crime, boy. Stop all you know what I mean? So, you know, if you don't kind of address it and you don't realize it, you could be doing these things and passing down traumas that you never addressed because you just didn't know any better. So I think definitely it can linger on into your adulthood, especially if you just, you know, inadvertently, just because you don't know, you know, and you think this is just how you're supposed to raise your kids, or this is how you're supposed to deal with a situation. So that's part of a lot of stuff that I'm learning, you know what I mean, and just trying to adjust it and make changes, you know, positive changes in my life in that way. So
So for the last question, um, to kind of recap a little bit on that is no, we'll just go to the last question. Is it your woman's job to make a space for you, or is it your job to make sure you have space? What you got, Mo?
Boy, this is a question. Boy, this is a question. Um, it's a little bit of both. So it's your job to make it mandatory that you need to thrive. I'm a little different than most, like, you know, people always talk about 50-50. I was like, I'm more of an 85-15 guy. Like, I was like, I got 85% of what I need, and there's a 15% whatever is needed from my mate. And with that being said, I'm very rigid about that though. Like, so when I don't get that full 15, I'm like, man, why? Nah, like, go that way. So, but with that being said, I have to set the tone to be like, hey, when you know I'm in this space, you need to understand, hey, maybe I don't want to talk about it right now. Give me time, give me space, give me the room to walk away. Let me, you know, sort through it in my head, and then we can come back and we can communicate it. I think to set the tone and to set a culture of, yeah, like, it doesn't necessarily, like, they have enough, your mate has enough leeway to nurture you without being scared of you, if that makes sense. Your mate that walk on eggshells because, oh, I have to just create a space to where, you know, I don't want to make him mad. But no, you're a whole human being with emotions and hearts and a brain as well. So I have to be able to navigate that in a way that's respectful. So I think both parties actually play a role in setting the tone of being able to say, and vice versa, obviously, to be a safe space. Because I feel conversely, I'm probably really bad at that. Like, because when I'm a problem solver, so when you come to me, I'm like, do you want me to fix it, or are you just venting? Like, if you're just venting, I'm like, go talk to one of your girlfriends. But that's not healthy. That's not a good way to be. She's like, I probably want to talk to you because this is in-house issue. So that's the type of thing that, you know, it's every evolution and being able to having that healthy balance between, you know, yourself and your spouse. I think it's super important, and it's something that, you know, it changes depending on where each party lies.
What you got, Smooth?
I think each individual needs to create their own safe space, but their spouse is there to support their safe space. I say that by what I mean by that is, like us as men, when we go out in this world, man, and hit that job, man, we faced against all type of stuff, man. You know what I'm saying? Having to keep our cool, dealing with idiots, you know what I'm saying? You come home, you want to bring them problems at home, but you still pissed off. You know what I'm saying? Something just happened at 4 o'clock. You get off at 4:30, you get home at 5:15, and you pissed off. You know what I'm saying? You just want to come home, relax a little bit, chill out, you know what I'm saying? Let that woman with you understand, okay, let me just let him decompress or whatever. Damn. Reese just said something and it stood out. Damn, what was it, Reese? It was kind of off topic, but it made a lot of sense to me. And it was something that I felt for a long time that I could never express.
I'm not
Get
sure.
Leafer then come
I'm
back.
not sure.
Get Leafer.
Leafer, is it your spouse responsibility? Is it her job to create a safe space for you, or is it your job to make sure you have space?
Oh, so what I'll say is each individual is in control of their own happiness. And with that being said, you have to be able to create space for your own vulnerability. And in doing that, you have to be able to communicate. And I think that goes back to me, what I said earlier about you don't know what you don't know. Sometimes you don't even know how to communicate this stuff or know how to ask for, for this certain grace that you might need. Like, hey, sometimes I'm going to need to decompress. Sometimes I'm just going to need to talk to you. I ain't looking for solutions. I got solutions. I just need to get this off my chest. And I would love to be able to do that with you, and have to communicate around that, like, and sometimes it's a reciprocal thing, right? So, if you want to have a safe space, you got to also create a safe space. Like, you could come to me with this and like to most point, like I'm fucking horrible at that too. Like that's, it's difficult, you know what I mean? To be able to, especially being a man when somebody brings, like, even when I have my own problems, I'm like, first trying to figure out how to solve it. You know what I mean? But then I have to go back and deal with the emotions surrounding it, in order to properly navigate it. But when somebody's coming to you with the issue, man, it's almost automatic in us to be able to say, okay, solution. You know what I mean? Action. Okay. Oh, they're doing this. Bet. Go outside. You know what I mean? Or, oh, they're doing this. Bet. Do this. Oh, you feel like this? Okay, no problem. Hey, this is how you handle that. So, we tend to be more solution based rather than try to sit and soak in our emotions and in our feelings. You know what I mean? Like, so it's difficult, but I think you have to create that space for yourself, but you also have to be intentional about communicating your needs with your partner, and and that's a skill. You got to learn that, and you got to practice it in order for it to really be effective in your relationship and in your life.
So you kind of went into like both of what I wanted to touch base on, right? Um, I feel like you should create your own. I feel like the men have to set the tone in that, right? And it's a both party thing, right? We could go that way, but generally they take our leadership, and we got to teach them how to be in that space or how to be in a relationship. You got to teach people how to treat you. I think that's something you say all the time, Mo. You know what I'm saying? Teach people how to treat you. So you have to teach people like this space is needed. And Leifer, you said it. You said it right on the money. You don't know what you don't know sometimes. You don't necessarily understand what you need. You know what I mean? So I think it's key to figure that out. You know what I'm saying? And from my perspective, most women would don't want to figure that out. They prefer you to have that already figured out about yourself already, because they just want to take instruction and do whatever it is you need done. Another thing is to speak to not being able to communicate, being taught from a young age to now, right? I think it's still a matter of, you know, most people create ultra egos to get jobs done. Like you're an introvert, Lee. But here you on the podcast, right? And you have a certain group of friends that you go out and have you party with, and then you're like, nah, I really hate it. But you know how to be. You created an ultra ego to go outside. I think Mo, you're the same way, right? You have two versions of you. You have an ultra ego, and you have who you feel comfortable, who you really are, right? Like you know what the people want, and you're like, I could be this person where they think I'm everything, but you're working for real. And a lot of people like do that. Like singers do that. People who always give presentations, they do that. They create an ultra ego of this person's accepted in a presentation area, right? So I mean the job is the job. And I can't use, I wasn't raised to not be able to communicate when I'm in a committed relationship that requires communication. I have to become the ultra ego to get this done. You know what I mean? Because it's a part of the job. And I can't sit back and be like, oh, I wasn't raised as a kid. And that's where you can't use that as an excuse thing. Or you could be there's times, even if we take it to sports, where you could be a complete chump, right? You could be soft and you get hit with something. You get hit in football, but your team needs this, and you gotta figure out a way to lay this block. I'm just gonna lay down in front of him because my team needs me to make this block. I know I can't face this dude at all, but my team needs me to do this, so I will do whatever it is I have to do to get it done. And I think that's the perspective that men should take on, opposed to what the guy was saying of, I can't communicate because when I was a kid, I was told to shut up and don't do, you know what I mean? Like, and I think you gotta build that ultra ego.
So I hear what you're saying, but to tell a person to fake it in a relationship, in a marriage is supposed to be for life, that's not sustainable. Like how about we actually?
I mean, I'm sorry, but it's a skill, and the skills are meant to be built.
Why don't they? Right. So let's figure out the root cause of that issue and build up that muscle and that skill set to actually really be able to deal with it instead of just faking it. Like, so for example, I always talk about for me, like, during the whole COVID, like that was the best time in my career. Like, I've never had a job that I pretty much couldn't do with my eyes closed. The worst part of work was the politics of it and, and laughing at jokes that wasn't funny. And I'm like, bro, like, I don't want to be here. So I remember coming home being exhausted just from that. It was never the work. I used to be exhausted because it felt like I was in character all day. So having to do that in your real life for the next 50 years, that's exhausting. Like, you want to talk about self-medicating, like that's how you're gonna get somebody drinking, they're gonna be alcoholic or whatever, because they don't have a safe space because they're pretending. Like, that's the whole point of your spouse being that safe space for you to be your authentic self. So I get that, the job does require that, you have emotional intelligence and to be able to communicate. So why don't we truly gain those skills instead of faking it? Because that's not sustainable.
So, and I'll piggyback off of Reese, but what I will say is that, what differing thought I'll say is that I won't go as far as the faking it thing, but what I will say is that, you can be two things at the same time, right? You could, what they call an ambivert, you know what I mean? So, and you can, in certain environments, you can, be full of life and, you know what I mean, full of energy. And in other environments, it's just draining and, you know what I mean? You could be more introverted. So what I'll say is that, especially if you are using that side out in the world, you got to go out here, you got to conquer, you got to win, you got to be, extra social and super communicative out at your job or whatever you're doing in the community. And when you come home, you don't necessarily always want to have that same energy. You kind of just want to be able to, like I said, decompress. You kind of just want to recharge, recalibrate, you know what I mean? And get refocused and get ready to go back out here in the world. And whatever little energy you got left, you want to put towards, you know what I mean, your family and your kids, if you got kids, and you know what I mean, your spouse. But you know what I mean? You don't necessarily want to have to come home and redo what you had to do outside, so you should be able to come home and have that safe space where you're able to, you know what I mean, you could chill, relax, you could say what's going on, what's on your mind, and it'd be okay to do that. But I think, like I said earlier, you have to be able to communicate that that's something that you need. you know. And I think for me personally, I didn't necessarily know that this was, you know, these are things that I need. And as I get older, and then I kind of need it more than I did when I was younger, you know, you know, things are becoming more and more evident that I'm able to communicate around. And as I continue to learn more, I'm able to communicate more about those certain things. So I think one, like I said before, you don't know what you don't know. So as soon as you do know, you got to learn to communicate around those things. But then also, you gotta be able to communicate that in the right, correct way to your spouse, so you can get the kind of support that you need. So they're not looking at you the way they looked at you when you was out at the club. You know what I mean? And thinking you're gonna bring that same energy at home all the time. Like that's not realistic. And like Mo said, it's not sustainable.
Hey, that was a bar right there. You don't know what you don't know, but when you know, you need to learn how to communicate it. That stuck out, like, you know what I mean? Because I was sitting here thinking, like, do we need to have a show on how to know what we need to know about ourselves? Like, you know what I'm saying? Because that hurts us more than not, and that's a whole process. How do we jump ahead of that? You know what I mean? Maybe we have
Self-awareness
to have a
is
show
half of
about that.
life. Yep, self-awareness is half of life.
So you could know something but not know how to communicate it. So, like, you know what I mean? Like, there's certain things that, you know, we talked about plenty times, like throughout life, where things were just evident. You know what I mean? Where we would be out in spaces and you would be that, you know, rambunctious out, you know, talking to everybody, and then I kind of be in the background chilling, you know. But there was never no there was never really a context to that. There was not no a real understanding of what that meant. You know what I mean? And how I would feel in these certain spaces. But, you know, once you learn, okay, oh, that's, you know, oh, he's an extroverted personality. You're an introverted personality. Oh, this is, and you start putting this stuff together, and you start getting an understanding of what these things are. Then you can kind of communicate it. But you might have an idea, but if you don't know, you know, the real terminology or what it really is, then it's hard to kind of communicate that
Yeah,
stuff with
yeah.
somebody else when you don't really have a full understanding of what these things are yourself. Like, you know, that these certain situations make you feel uncomfortable, and you know what I mean, you kind of learn how to navigate those things and learn how to move around them and stuff. But, you know, in doing them, it doesn't help you communicate what you're doing. You know, to you, you're just, you know, like we were
You
talking about
found ways
in
to
another
cope instead of
episode, you learn how to
communicating.
move. Yeah, you learn
Yeah,
how to
yeah.
just how to deal with it and move. You know what I mean? Like if somebody on this side of the street and they look like they, you know, they dressed in all black and they look like they got a gun tucked, you know, to cross the street, go the other way. You don't, you know, you're not necessarily communicating around that. You just, oh, let me move this way. You know what I
Mm.
mean? Let me sway this way because that don't look safe. So, you know, you don't necessarily know how to put words to it. You just know how to move. And I think in a lot of spaces, you know, people just learn how to move around certain things, and they don't really know how to communicate why, you know, they're moving a certain way or why they're doing a certain thing. And then once you learn the reasons why, okay, now you got to go back and have that conversation. Might be too late, but you know, at least you know for yourself.
No, that's dope. Smooth. He said come back to you.
Yo, I figured out what Reese said. Something that Leafa said, maybe remember what Reese said. Reese, Mo, when supporting your spouse, right? So supporting her safe space. When let's question. When you say you don't know if she wants you, if she just want to vent or she want you to solve the problem, is venting just supporting her space, or solving the problem supporting your space?
See, it's both. Like Leifer said, both can be true. Because for me, like it's painful for me to just listen to the vent, right? Like let's say that she came to me with something. I would imagine most women do this. Let me tell you what happened at work today. Man, I work myself. I don't really care to hear about it, but to be supportive is for me to listen and not to try to fix it. Like, well, just be strictly professional with that person, and they won't feel the need to try you anymore. Instead of saying that, I just need to listen. And that's me being a safe space for her versus her having to go and talk about it to somebody else. Maybe at work, they could go and blab that business back to that person. So this is me protecting this house and protecting this union that we have. So yeah, that's, even though it's uncomfortable for me, it's supportive for me to just listen. Yes.
All right, and I asked, and I'm glad you came with the work example because that's how it is with my situation with the work shit, right? I'm always trying to not listen. I'm just being, when they vent, I'm being supportive. But I can see where a lot of things, situations in that situation be wrong, right? A lot of issues. So when I try to be solution oriented, try to get you to fix it, it always turns into an argument in my household. You know what I'm saying?
Look, don't do that no more. Don't be like Mo. Don't do that no more.
And I think understanding what you need to do, like, is this event or is a problem solved? I think that protects your mental space as well, because that takes work in problem solving. And I think you got to gear yourself to what am I about? Well, not for, I guess for Mo, the work is the listening to the vent. The problem solving is the easy part. I would say, like, for me, the problem solving would be, okay, now I'm thinking this and I'm thinking this and I'm thinking this. And now I want you to apply that. And when you're not like moving like I think you should move, because we just went over this whole scenario. Now I'm frustrated that we just talked about this and not, you know what I mean? It's like I just told you how to do the math, solve the problem. Like, you know what I'm saying? Opposed to just vet like, oh, why you couldn't get your geometry right. You know what I mean? But
yeah, teacher just don't like me. No, you're just not doing the right steps. Like,
right.
You're playing with me.
So, but hey, great show, man. Like to keep you guys for an hour. I don't want to take up too much time. That's another Prototype Day. We out.